Oh no! A large tree down across the road is not what we wanted to see. The night before, I had followed my classmate Susan Unrau Stucky to her home high in the mountains above the California coast, just south of San Francisco. That day, I had driven up from the Los Angeles area. Susan had met me at the gate to her property 3 miles from her mountain retreat. I had already climbed 10 miles to the gate on steep, windy mountain roads. Now, I was following her on narrower and in some places steeper logging roads. Over a delicious shrimp curry that night, we had talked and talked, catching up on the 50 or so years since high school graduation from Woodstock School in India. The next morning when I woke up, it was snowing, and the forecast called for much more to come. We decided it was best to get Henry down out of the mountains and headed down to town to enjoy a leisurely breakfast there. But then the tree blocking the way out. I thought that I might be having the adventure of being stuck in the mountains for a week. But Susan knew, though steeper, another way out. Henry does not have four-wheel drive nor snow tires. As we had breakfast at Alice's restaurant, I had a greater appreciation than before of what Henry could do. My next visit was to be with my brother Bill's wife Lynette and daughter Valerie. After getting a call from Lynette about her having COVID, I moved up my visit with cousin Susan and her husband Gary. But first, I met Bill's daughter Gina and her husband James and son Logan for supper. My cousin Susan is my father's sister's daughter. Having grown up in India, I did not know her and was looking forward to a few days together. It was fun looking through Susan's picture albums. They asked what I wanted to see. First, I wanted to see the almond orchards that were filling the countryside with blooms. And second, with their large Sikh community, I wanted to see their Gurdwara. Both were beautiful. At Susan's suggestion, I headed next to Mill Valley to the Muir Woods National Monument, named after the father of our national park system. Here I walked in awe through a redwood national forest. 150 million years ago, redwoods covered much of the northern hemisphere. 2 species remain in the United States, both in California: coast redwoods and the giant sequoias. Also living in Mill Valley was Woodstock schoolmate Susan Hills. I parked in her drive for the next 3 days. Susan took me on a driving tour of San Francisco. From her home, we crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, likely the most famous bridge in the U.S. We climbed to the highest point for a bird's eye view of the city. On the way to the top, we had, for a while, followed the famous Haight Street, which leads to the corner of Haight-Ashbury. We took in part of the popular Land's End Trail. Our tour ended with a meditative walk through the beautiful Grace Cathedral in downtown San Francisco. Laurel, one of my friends and Woodstock schoolmates, has lived with her family on a houseboat for 27 years. Years ago, she sent me the GPS coordinates for her home. I've always been intrigued and looked forward to a visit. Laurel and I walked through the many docks of her houseboat community. She told me that next to Alcatraz, the houseboat community was San Francisco's second largest tourist attraction. It was time now to head south, back to Arizona. With California's recent historic large snowstorm, the passes over the mountains in Southern California were simply beautiful. I had not expected to be so cold in California. I think my next visit will be in either spring, summer, or fall.